Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a painting craft today. Now, you don't need to know how to paint. You don't need to know how to use watercolors. We're going to do some watercolor, but you know, I'm not a watercolor artist. This is a very loose, very fun butterfly. And really, you can do it. Your kids can do it. It's just a lot of fun. So I'm going to turn you over onto the other camera so you can see what I'm doing. And we're going to get started together because we got two steps. One is the painting, and then we need to let it dry. And then we get to finish it. So both steps, easy peasy. All right. What I have is a pan of watercolors. So you just kind of reactivate them by spritzing them with water. And then I also have some little trays here of some watercolors also that were from tubes. And then they just dry out and you reactivate them the same. What we're doing is we're just taking a paintbrush, getting it wet. We're adding it to, let's start with pink, maybe. Let's do some pink. And we're going to just, kind of in the upper third of our paper, we're going to drop in some color. So I'm not painting with my brush. I am just dropping in paint. I'm making a little puddle of that paint. So I'm doing two up there and two. So if you think about that being the upper part of a wing, and this will be the upper part of the lower wings. There we go. I'm vaguely cleaning off my brush, getting a little bit of wet. Let's just try purple. Now watercolors, so this is on watercolor paper, and you really need to have watercolor paper for watercolors because it absorbs the paint and the water differently than like a regular computer paper is going to. All right. There we go. And let's maybe add in a little bit of yellow. Brighten it up a little bit. So we'll just put this out on the extremes. And don't worry about this. You can't really get it right or wrong. We get to add in more color after, so it's not done. But bear in mind that they are going to dry lighter. So I just got a flat brush now, and I am just going to wet that. And then I'm going to go over top of my colors, and I'm just going to pull them out in a bit of a wing shape. Okay, and don't worry about anything yet. We just want it vaguely wing shaped. Okay, that one went a lot lower than the other one, but that's okay. There we go. Clean my brush a little bit, and let's do the same thing. Now, the only thing that you want with this second one is you want it to not touch the first. Okay, so we want it to not overlap because then the watercolors are gonna flow into one another. So they follow the path of the water. All right, so now I'm gonna go back to my round brush again, and I'm gonna start to just add in more of those colors, right? That we've got some of that pink happening here. So let's strengthen that a little bit because they're getting pretty pale. And I'm okay with them going paler because I know that I've got another step to go after this. But I just want to introduce a little bit more color. And you saw I dropped in a little bit more water because it was all starting to dry a little bit. Now I'm going to, let's do the purple first. Add in just a little bit more of that purple tone because it got lost a little bit here. round this out a little bit. Kind of skimpy on the bottom wings. And let's go in for a little bit of the brightness of that yellow again. Let's add in a little bit of the pop of color with that. And you're just going to drop in color, right? We don't want them to get too muddied. We want to have a little bit of that, but don't agonize over it. You know, don't worry too much, because just for this next step, I don't want these big piles of puddles of my paint there. And let me now get a little bit of my purple down in the tips here. And while it's still wet, I'm just going to lightly tap. So just kind of let them flow down a little bit here. And now we let that dry. Once your watercolor is dry, you just start drawing in shapes. So whatever makes sense, draw lines and patterns, some circles, follow the outline of your shapes to create the wings, right? Whatever works. And you're just kind of going with some of the colors, outline them in a way that makes sense. And then when you kind of have the wings filled in, we're going to draw a bit of an oval for the head, right? And a couple of antennae with, let me just make sure the other one's going to be kind of roughly the same height. And then we're going to do a body. And I just like to do a couple of rough bands across the body sideways. And then fill it in with a lot of downstrokes in between. So we get a bit of kind of rough segmentation while still maintaining the shape of the body. And then just do a couple of little, and I know that butterflies don't really have long tails like this, but I like the look of it. So we end up with patterning like, you know, we can do patterning like this, or, you know, a little bit more dramatic and not filled in entirely. Patterning here, something more simple. You can see with all the different variations how much it can vary with color. You can alter the shape of the wings, square them off so they're not drooping, pop them into a frame so that we've got a lovely little framed butterfly. It's just super fun, super quick. It really is quite simple, and we can go in a lot of different directions. These, I think, again, could make lovely little framed butterflies for your wall. You could put them onto, handmade cards. You could turn them into large gift tags, do them on a smaller scale if you wanted. But it's just a fun little way of creating something that you ultimately fill in and doodle in a way that makes sense to you. I hope you give it a try. I had a lot of fun with these. I definitely can see myself making more of them and perhaps getting a lot of small little maybe black frames and creating a whole different kind of little vignette for the wall would be super cute. Let me know what you think, guys. I love to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care.